Okay, so I know for a fact that sales is one of your own biggest bottlenecks in your own SMA. And actually, for that reason alone, I'm actually going to solve that today, right now, and actually break down a live call recording from one of my own mentees' sales calls and absolutely cook it alive, break down the entire sales call, what he did wrong, what he did well on, and pretty much exactly what I would improve on, live, literally right there with him as well. So I actually just got back from Dubai. I was actually neighbors with Charlie Morgan for the week. I actually hosted my mastermind there with Villa on the Palm. And Brian Choi, so he's actually Jeremy Mander's second most highest paid sales rep ever, actually spoke at my mastermind. And I actually learned a ton of sauce. I'm also going to share that as well today. Now, no holding back. I'm going to show you guys absolutely everything, cooking absolutely everything. And sales is honestly one of my biggest bottlenecks as well when I was first starting. So I can help you guys out. Nothing holding back. And let's get into the video. So I'm back in Canada for a bit, off to Cape Town, then back to Dubai. So I'll see you guys soon, and let's get into it.
All right, guys, I'm absolutely about to cook my mentee Jordy over here, his sales call. So we're actually going to go over live his sales call right now. I'm going to pretty much destroy every single part of it. And it's just pretty funny, actually, this guy. So we're going to see how it goes. But yeah, going to get a ton of value today and show you guys a lot of stuff. And also, yeah, Jordy, if you want to kind of introduce yourself as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I run a home remodeling agency. Currently have around 15 clients, looking to increase my conversions on sales.
Yeah. So this is actually a sales call from like a while ago. I think like May in 2024.
Yeah, it was a while back, but
it was like, this is actually not how he's acting like now. I kind of wanted to get some good value or entertainment for the audience. So
yeah, I'm a bit better than this. I'm a bit better than
okay. So we'll actually get into it now. Okay. Yes.
Hello.
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah. How's your week been so far? I guess it's approaching Friday now.
Pretty good. I went to New York, saw my son, so it's always a good time.
Oh, cool. Where are you based originally?
Chicago.
Chicago. Cool.
One thing already, I actually learned from Alex Mosey. So he said to do pre-call research. So I think what you should have said, instead of asking, oh, where are you based, when he said Chicago, you should have actually already like looked up his Facebook or like LinkedIn and actually kind of stalked him a bit, because what you could do is actually, when you say that or when you look him up, you could see the recent events he went to, or like he went to a recent sports game, put on a story, whatever it is, on Facebook, whatever it is. Then you could actually mention that on the sales call. Say, oh, I actually saw you. I think you and your wife went out to the baseball game. How was the Cubs or whatever? How was that? Like, he's going to be like, what the fuck? Like, this guy is like,
He knows his shit.
super, like, he knows the shit.
Yeah.
So that's going to build a lot more trust and reciprocity straight off the bat, because there's a lot more of a professionalism aspect to it, right? If you kind of go into a sales call and this guy already knows a lot of things about you, you're going to take him way more seriously. You're going to trust him way more, just based off the fact that he's already put in so much effort, which is actually going to subconsciously reflect in your mind, oh, he's putting in so much effort now. What's going to the service delivery going to be like? It's probably going to be super good because he's putting in a lot of effort. Yeah, I don't even know this guy. He's putting in a lot of effort. So that's kind of one thing I'd say just right off the bat. This guy's also got pretty interesting wall colors as well. I mean, of course, squeeze arm model his own house. So
Awesome. Yeah. See, I guess you sound like
a bit of awkward silence with you. So I think you were actually writing this thing down.
yeah, I was ready. Okay. He goes like works there, or like goes to school there.
That's the awkward.
He's a chef. He works in a Michelin restaurant in New York City.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Does
Okay, you gotta at least act like you care of it. You said, oh, that's awesome.
Chef. He works in a Michelin restaurant in New York City.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Does like what?
Okay, also about like, this is so good. I didn't know what to say. So funny. Yeah, fair enough. But also, I think like, okay, you also said as well.
Yeah.
Which is also going to come up as like really like just overall this lack of confidence in yourself, or it's like you don't really know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Say.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Does like was he ever part of the construction business at all, or?
Okay, that's actually a good question, to be honest. Yeah, let's try.
Yeah, all my sons were.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. Yeah. How long have you been in?
Okay, that's sick. Once again, it's very like the slang is actually very important. Like when you're talking prospects, you need to be speaking their slang and not like the slang that we say. So don't say like cooked or like, yeah, other like bullshit like that. Yeah, sick, or like, yeah. You saying like, oh, like that's amazing or whatever it is. Oh, yeah, that's one thing.
Give it for
45 years.
Oh wow, cool. And
okay, he's done it. Well, fuck, bro. It just seems like you don't give a fuck. Okay, also one thing is actually the mirror principle as well. So whenever the prospect, especially with girls as well, girls will like be like, well, this guy's like a charismatic as fuck when you actually do this, but it's when the mirror principle. So whenever someone answers a question, you want to say that exact same thing back to them. They just said.
yeah.
So when he says, when you ask them, oh, how long you been doing it for? You say, oh, I'm doing it for 45 years. And then you want to say, oh, 45 years. Wow. So it's like, he's going to feel subconsciously way more understood and like respected and kind of just have that reciprocity built.
Yeah.
Same with girls. Like if you guys are out with like going on a date with a girl and like talks to her about like her modeling and stuff like that, and he's like, oh, modeling, like if you just say the exact same thing back, they're gonna just feel like way more like the connection kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they don't even know that it's happening. It's kind of also conscious. So
Kind of doing it for.
45 years.
Oh wow, cool. And
so yeah, once again on the
I'm not too familiar with the I guess the Chicago area. So you guys just working in the Chicago area, or did you ever like expand past that?
No, Chicago suburbs.
Okay, sick. Yeah.
okay, once again, this is like we're gonna cook M&Ds.
Well, let me just write that down real quick.
Did you ask to write down, or are you just acting like it?
No, I actually did ask for it.
Okay, like dude.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. And so you
I think you said dude is this guy. Yeah, it's so funny. Okay.
guys do mainly like kitchen and baths, or what's it kind of like?
Well, right now I'm doing a whole house remodel, so
Okay. Okay, sick. So like kind of like you could do
Second on such a ball.
everything, right?
The ball.
yeah,
Kind of like you could do everything, right?
yeah.
Cool. Because when it comes to most of our clients, mainly they're focusing on kitchen and baths, actually more like bathrooms we're focusing on right now, just because we do find it's the highest ticket kind of job, and it is just overall the best. Almost everyone prefers to just kind of do them. But we do kind of work.
Yeah. Your eyes are like, bro, this is so funny. Okay, like your eyes are like jumping around so much.
Kitchen and baths, actually more like bath.
That's a big thing as well. Like when you guys are on sales calls, like make sure you're not like looking around, because it
Yeah.
seems like you're kind of like,
You'll give a fuck.
yeah, you just don't care, or like you're just like not confident. So that's actually one thing as well. I think I was actually doing that myself like a lot. So
Rooms we're focusing on right now, just because we do find it's the highest ticket kind of job, and it is just overall the best. Almost everyone prefers to just kind of do them. But we do kind of work with everything: kitchens, bathrooms, decks, like they even like some roofing, a little bit of roofing, not too often, but we kind of deliver the best results within baths as well. So yeah, I just want to put it out there. But yeah,
okay, like once again, like you're very like fidgety and you're not actually like looking at him as well. I think you're moving on lot. So it comes off as like insecure. And also actually one thing I want to mention as well is like his conviction, like your conviction isn't that good.
No.
Like you're looking around, you're like fidgeting, you're drinking your water bottle. All right, guys, so we're back. We actually have the camera like cut off like just now, and we filmed for another like 30 minutes, but I gotta redo it. Jody had to go last night, but yeah, let's get back into it. So I was gonna mention here that his conviction levels are super off. Like he's very fidgety with things, and when he says, oh yeah, we get the best results in the kitchen bath space, like he's not saying it in a convicted way where it says, compared to someone saying like we get the best results in the kitchen bath space, maybe not that intense because that's way too much. You kind of want to have the key of like casual conviction is usually the best way of doing it, because you're saying it with casual confidence, like you just own the place, like you just get the best results in the market. It's just obvious, so yeah, that's kind of
I guess take jobs on. Is it mainly like referrals, or what do you guys kind of?
I'm on referrals for the past 5 years.
Oh, referrals. Okay, cool. Have you guys worked with any sites like Angie or anything like
I
that?
hate them all.
Yeah, Angie's just the worst.
And Andrew like bought Home Advisor, so it made all of them suck.
Yeah.
So like, okay, one thing he did actually well here was kind of like agreeing with him, where it's like, oh yeah, Angie's the absolute worst. I would kind of want Jordy to be like a bit more direct and a bit more aggressive on actually agreeing with his side, because you want to position it in a way where it's like you and the prospect versus their problem, not you butting the that's kind of no homo, but like not you like butting the prospect like one-on-one and try to like verse them. You want to be like you and the prospect against Angie's, or you and the prospect against their problem, because the moment you do that, then they're going to feel way more trust, and it's going to feel like an actual like true friendship or relationship compared to just like a fight. That's what a lot of beginner guys will try to think of at the start. It's like, oh, I just want them to pay me and I'm going to try to beat them. It's like, no, you need to be on their side. You need to agree with them. You need to comfort them. You need to agree with them, which is going to subconsciously build a lot of trust. So whenever he said, oh yeah, Angie's hate them all, you want to say, oh yeah, a bunch of our clients actually have gone with Angie's, they barely get any results, they come to us, and now we're crushing it, right? And then you could show them the case studies and stuff like that. You want to tell stories of how your old clients were in his exact position. They did all the stuff that he did, and now they're in his dream outcome, right? Which is storytelling, which is in the case studies. So let's get back into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Andrew actually.
Okay, so like what? Okay, so Jordy is like, he's like sitting back on his chair and going like that. I mean, that's a bit of an interesting play. I don't know if I would personally do that in my sales calls, but it seems like he's just, I don't know, like way too laid back, it seems like. I don't think like a super high executive would actually be doing that kind of thing, but I don't know. We'll see.
Andrew's list used to be a good source because they didn't charge you; they charged their clients for the referrals. So it was people who wanted Angie's List's advice, and then you would be listed with them. Yeah, and then it changed to like a home
Okay, it's just the way he looked at it is just, like this just seemed like you didn't give
advice,
a fuck at all.
and then you would be listed with them. Yeah, and then it changed to
You went like that. It just seemed like you didn't care. Like, Jordy, you need to, like, I know you're listening to this right now. Like, you need to, like, seem like you care more. Because the prospects, like, a lot of clients, like, only thing that really matters is, like, they actually want to see that you care. Because if you're just saying, like, oh, these, like, nonchalant responses and your body language is super off, they're going to sense that subconsciously and they're just not going to have trust with you.
home advisor kind of thing.
And did you
So it seemed like you don't care. Like, there wasn't any follow-up question there as well. So what you need to do as well is, I'm actually going to build on this later on, but it seems like he's kind of like educating Jordy here because Jordy hasn't done enough market research to actually know how Angie's List work. I mean, he could have, he just didn't position himself in a way where it made the prospect Mark actually feel that way. Because the moment you do that, then you're going to seem like an authority in the space. But if your prospects are trying to educate you on how the other competitors work and stuff like that, it's not a good look, right? You want to seem and come off as a professional in your space, okay? So you guys need to be sounding like you know everything. You want to be educating the prospect because it's a weird like dynamic when the prospect is educating you. It's a very weird subconscious kind of switch where it's like they don't trust you because they're the authority subconsciously because they're kind of teaching down to you. You want to be always teaching down to them because that's going to be a lot more authority and trust.
Be listed with them. Yeah. Then it changed to like a home advisor kind of thing.
and did you work with all of them in the past before, or which ones have you kind of tried out?
I've worked with Angie's. I never worked with Angie. I worked with Angie's List.
Oh yeah,
I never bought into the Angie thing. I worked with home advisor, networks, you name it.
okay, cool. And what has your experience been, I guess, so far? Probably not the greatest.
It's hit and miss. I mean, I have gotten some jobs from them. I can't lie, but mostly it's bad information.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've paid for leads that.
I mean, I think your Jordy has to agree more with that they're bad kind of thing because I think he also needs to do a bit more storytelling. It also depends on how much client results you have and stuff like that in case studies. But what I would do is I would actually explain a story of how one of Jordy's clients was in Mark's exact position and how he actually got out of it by using his services. And before he used Angie's List and all this stuff, it didn't work. And then boom, went to Jordy and then got results.
I didn't. My technique with them was finally, after I learned, I would buy painting jobs for 1 or 2 rooms. That was the cheapest lead.
Yeah.
And then I'd get on the painting job and I'd tell them, I could do kitchens, bathrooms, electric,
Yeah. No, that's smart. And that's just like in terms of like Angie's List.
Hey, he's like doing so much like fidgeting here, I think.
Obviously, Angie's bought home advisor and all this kind of stuff. The problem.
Okay, he's moving around too much. Like it comes off as very like non-confident and just nervous. Like I don't think it's a good look.
This whole system it's giving you duplicate and expensive leads. It's giving you and all the other contractors in your area.
Okay, this is actually very good to be honest by Jordy because he's kind of explaining to Mark that's how Angie's List works and why it doesn't work too well. So it comes off as more authoritative.
The same leads. And just to put the cherry on top, the leads aren't even that like qualified and they're not that actually intense. In terms of our system, I'll kind of get into our solution to that and how we actually only work with one.
Like he's just moving around so much. Like I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but he's moving around a lot. Don't do this on sales calls.
Contractor per 100-mile radius. So basically you'd be the only guy in like Chicago or actually probably the only guy in Illinois to actually have access to the system. And we only direct organic leads that are actually highly intentful. To put into perspective, I'll even go.
Like, okay, see how much his eyes are kind of moving around? Like I'm saying this a lot, but like on your sales calls, make sure you're like 90% of the time just looking at the prospect because that's going to build a lot of trust. Like imagine if you're like, okay, let's say you're on a date with a girl, right? And you're like moved around, you're like fidgety, like it's going to be weird. But if you're just like, you're chill, you just have a lot of eye contact, the chemistry is going to be pretty insane compared to you like looking around and all that stuff. You're just going to come off like a geek kind of thing. So I would definitely tell Jordy, and at least for you guys as well, just look at the prospect more. So yeah.
Share my screen and show you the entire system. But right now for me, it's actually noon. I guess for you, it's like probably like 2 p.m. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
From like noon yesterday, we actually just with one of my clients, actually out in like Victoria in British Columbia, like in Canada. Not sure if you're like familiar with the area or not. But anyways, long story short, I actually just had paused his ads for a couple of days, just tweaking something to do with the kind of like AI system we have. But we relaunched them at like, I'm looking at the time now because it's noon. We launched them at like 11 a.m. So like around 25 hours ago. Since relaunching them, we've got 3 estimates already, which is quite insane. So our system, super highly intentful leads coming through, and I'll share, the entire system to you in, a minute shortly. But did you actually go ahead and watch the like kind of pre-call video I sent over?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah. So obviously, I'll just
Okay, by the way, the pre-call video is some crazy sauce, by the way. So a pre-call video is essentially like a back-end VSL, which I like to call it. It's more of like you warming up the prospect to the call, right? The reason why people could pay me for a lot of money for my mentorship is because they trust me over YouTube and stuff like that. I'm able to send out payment links. Obviously now it's more people booking in calls and stuff like that, but we've been more of a DAO process. But it's like, that's the only reason why I'm able to do that is because there's so much trust built with the audience. Now, what you guys are trying to do with SMA is the complete same as that. But what everyone, like, no one even thinks of this. Like, everyone's doing the complete opposite. Everyone's saying like, oh yeah, pay me like 5K over the internet. I didn't even know that you existed the day before. Like, this is, imagine you cold call someone, you book them in for a sales call, and you're expecting them to pay you a few grand over the internet. They never even knew you existed like before yesterday. So what you need to do is actually send them content before the call, which is actually going to warm them up and build a lot of subconscious trust in the prospect. So that's one thing I'd 100% add as well. So you could add all your case studies, who this is for, who this is not for, outcomes and benefits, why this works, your background, the guarantee, common objections, you kind of pre-handling those objections as well. So pretty much what you want to do is get a bunch of data from your sales calls. For example, they have a common objection about, oh, why, how does this work or whatever it is. Or like, just, you want to kind of have common objections and then pre-handle those objections in the actual marketing process before the actual sales call, so that they don't come up at the end of the sales call, right? So that's kind of what I would definitely do as well.
showcase that system in actual depth.
It's just actually like an awkward like drink of water. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why it's so funny, but yeah.
Some water, but
I think Jordy's like, this is another like fidgeting thing where he's just fidgeting way too much and like drinking water, but it's like, it's not really too necessary. I don't know.
yeah. So other than that, like, have you guys ever tried any kind of like paid ads or anything like that?
Other than Home Advisor kind of paid ads?
Yeah, like maybe Facebook, Google.
No, I did a Yelp for a year.
Oh yeah,
for $3,000.
how did that?
And that's terrible.
Okay, yeah, I've never actually tried Yelp, so I guess it.
Yelp is really bad for contractors because it's
Okay, so once again, this is very bad because what the prospect is doing is he's actually teaching Jordy. So the whole dynamic is very, very off. So, I mean, it's already bad, the fact that this guy's like 60 and Jordy's like 19 or whatever it is. So, but you don't want to have it double in a way where it's like he's teaching Jordy about Yelp and Jordy comes off as a beginner or someone who doesn't know what he's talking about, which is not the position you want to have when Mark is about to pay him a few grand over the internet, right? So that's something I would definitely do. You need to have way more market research. So don't say, oh, I've never tried Yelp before, or none of my clients have done Yelp before. That's just going to come off as inexperienced, right? If you are really experienced in the market, then you're going to know every single thing about the market and Yelp and Home Advisor and all these sort of competitors, which is going to make you come off as way more experienced and also trustworthy.
great for restaurants because you get 1,000
Also, this guy's wall is like, something's off of the wall. I don't know why, but yeah, very interesting paint job.
reviews.
Yeah.
And the aggregate then is, like, okay, you got, most of them are good. Well, with a contractor, you have 100 reviews. So if you get 2 or 3 bad ones, then people, say you suck. I mean, I got a review on Yelp from my estimate. They didn't like my estimates.
They don't like the estimate.
Okay, so this is actually very good. Like, he's agreeing with the prospect. He's, they're both on the same side here, right? Instead of kind of butting heads, they're both on the same side, which is actually very good. He's actually laughing, releasing the tension. It's actually very good to kind of do that. Any moment you could have where you could like laugh with the prospect is the best option to do.
I hate social media.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it is like the most powerful tool when it comes to actually like getting jobs right now, especially like with our system.
I started my business 45 years ago with a $10 ad in a newspaper called The Reader, which was a free newspaper. And I said wallpapering. It just said wallpaper and my phone number.
Oh,
That's how I started.
that's awesome though, because especially like I'm just thinking long term, like even with our ads, like the way we could position it.
Like, he just came off as like it just didn't seem like he didn't care. It was just, oh, awesome, and then he slipped into the next question kind of thing. Like, I think with a lot of you guys, you can't be doing that where it's like you kind of like side brush there, because he's telling like a pretty crazy story how he started his business, right? And if you come out as, oh, that's amazing, then you go into like the next question straight away. You kind of want to ask a follow-up question like, oh, what did the newspaper look like, kind of thing. Like, where was the ad placed in the newspaper, whatever. Like, even if it's very small and insignificant, it comes off as you actually seem like you actually care, right? Which is kind of all the prospect is kind of looking for, to be honest.
Like since you guys have been kind of in the game for like 45 years, like we could totally position that in our ads and it would be a really good selling point. I'll kind of get into the strategies in a moment. But okay, yeah. So you've never really done any kind of like paid ads in terms of Google and Facebook, mainly.
But also, okay, another thing he did well here was actually future pacing the relationship, where he said, oh yeah, well, what we could do in our ads is actually mention that you've been doing this for 45 years. That's going to build a lot of trust and authority in the space when you're actually marketing, which is actually very good. You want to kind of future pace the relationship. Like another thing, like with girls, if you're, I'm not a dating coach, but like I won't even get to any examples to be honest. But yeah, if you kind of future pace the thing with girls, and you talk about future trips or going to get married in the future, like there's way more, of a chemistry compared to just only talking very short term. It also depends on intention, but whatever. It's a very random example though.
Just like Yelp. And actually, to add on to the whole review thing, I guess, so is Yelp like mainly focused on just getting you reviews and putting your name out there? I'm not really familiar with it.
Okay, so another like bad thing that Jordy's here, what I mentioned before, is like he is asking questions about, oh, how does Yelp work? This is gonna come off as very, very, very inexperienced. Even though this is very like insignificant, it's actually probably the reason why he won't close. I mean, it's not the reason why he won't close, because it really comes down to trust, and which is actually a derivative of this pretty much, or this is a derivative of trust. But a lot of it comes down to just price perception, kind of value perception based off price and trust. But like this is definitely not helping though. Yeah.
Well, Yelp is a review site, but they will promote you for a year. Kind of like, they'll put ads for you in there, and put you on. They'll be your number one when you click it in my area for Yelp for painters or for remodelers. It will be the number one setting, and that's what I was holding that number one setting for a year.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, because basically, and honestly, it is a good leeway for me to actually show you our system here, but we even have a little thing that actually just goes ahead and gives you a bunch of 5-star Google reviews, and it just allows you to just push to the top. It has nothing to do with our actual main system, but I'll go ahead and share my screen now to you. Let me know if you can see it all good. So
I mean, this is definitely good. He's talking, showing the system and stuff like that. I mean, I think it's also good to mention the fact about the Google review campaign. Obviously, super, super solid stuff. Would definitely recommend doing that, because a lot of it is actually correlated with their dream outcome. Anyone who's listening to this, obviously you guys are probably already doing this with Google review campaigns and database reactivation protocols and all that stuff.
I'll go ahead and just show you what I was talking about here. So it's kind of like the kind of reputation build out here. This is our entire system, by the way. It's all white labeled Remo Max AI. But in terms of reviews, like we just get our clients a bunch of like 5-star reviews. This is all just through our kind of like system. It's literally just like a little bit of a bonus thing that we do, and it just helps our client actually just go ahead and raise to the top of the Google Maps. Just so even though like this is not trackable for us, like in terms of, oh, I brought you this job, like this is just a nice bonus that even throughout a few years to come, you'll get a couple of jobs, maybe a couple of people coming in, but they're really good. But that's just something additional. So this is what it kind of looks like. It is kind of like complex in terms of like all the settings and stuff, so I won't go into detail with it, but you can actually see here the kind of cost per lead we have. So right now, for every 20,
so this is actually a very good thing. Like this is one of the best things you could kind of do for social proof, is actually just show live ads vendors. Obviously you guys, very basic thing, you guys probably know this, but I think another thing is just going to case studies. But one thing that Jordy didn't do is actually the reverse calculator that I like to call. So what you want to do is actually understand his commission, or how much he's making per job, right? Obviously not commission because he's a business owner, but how much is he actually pulling in per job? And you want to times that by your guarantee. So let's just say that you were guaranteeing 10 jobs in the next 3 months, right? And his offer to those jobs, right? Let's just say he was making like 10K job, whatever it is, right? So technically if we times 10K, right, times 10 jobs that we're guaranteeing, we're technically guaranteeing 100 grand to the business owner, right? To Mark. So what you want to do is actually literally ask him, okay, how much you making per job? And okay, 10 grand, perfect. So we're actually going to guarantee you 10 jobs. So if you want to pull up your calculator and actually just do 10K times 10, most of the time it's doing more complicated math, but it's very easy on this one. So, and then it's going to say 100K. It's like, okay, so I'm essentially going to guarantee you 100K. And if you don't make 100K in the next 3 months, I'm literally legally and contractually obligated to refund you absolutely everything, right? It's all depends on your offer. But when you say that, the prospect is going to be like, okay, so I'm literally guaranteed to make 100K, or I don't have to pay for anything in the next 3 months. That is a irresistible offer that no one will turn down. Only reason they would turn down is because they severely lack a lot of trust in you, right? The moment you do this is they're going to feel stupid by not saying no to you, right? The moment you actually close someone is when your offer, the only option where they lose money is if they don't take action and actually join you, right? It's literally physically impossible for this client to lose money. The only chance where they lose money is if they don't actually join Jordy, right? So the moment you could position yourself as someone you're just guaranteed to make money with, you're just going to win, right? So that's kind of one thing I would definitely add in. I mean, here's more of like demo stuff. Going to the funnels, definitely really good stuff. All the automations. I don't think this is too necessary, all the automations. I think he could have definitely made this way, way faster, because it's a lot of unnecessary fluff. Because a lot of, you guys have to understand, like a lot of these guys, their expertise is not this online tech stuff, right? A lot of you you guys like are thinking, oh yeah, that's how everyone is because that's what we talk to every day, just people our age. But that's not the case, obviously, right? But you might not consciously realize this, so you have to kind of just like show them all the all this stuff. Like they don't really care. They don't care about the process. They care about the results and the actual outcome they're gonna get, right? They don't care how they get there. They just care if they're gonna get there or not. And the way that you increase their perception of if they're gonna get there or not is if you actually show them results, and also through the conviction in the way you speak to them, right? So, and also if you're authority in the space as well, right? So I think it's definitely good showing them all the demos, stuff like that. So we kind of get back into stuff here.
It works well, and you can still see a very like high ROI on like the actual investment. So it still works, no question. Yeah.
But I mean, if you have a big market like Chicago, and you're gonna send me all your leads within 100 miles. You've got other guys who could fetch you more leads. You could teach on more leads.
Yeah, no, sorry. I think I mixed it up. So our ads won't be launched for you for a 100-mile radius, but we'll just license the area off, if that makes sense. So your ads won't be targeted past like 20 to 15 miles, but we won't work with anyone else within the 100-mile radius just so it doesn't get mixed up, if that makes sense. It's kind of just a policy in the contract we have if we do move forward. That's sorry about the confusion there, but yeah.
No,
it's all good. Yeah.
I mean, it only works so fast.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, this is okay. Like, another thing you could, like, George should have done is just be very, very clear that he doesn't work with, other contractors in the span of 100-mile radius, but the Facebook ads will only be ran in 15, 20 miles. It's just kind of like another thing that, like, you need to get all the data and all of the common objections and all the data from the common objections, right? And actually just plug that back into the sales process and pretty much free-handle those common objections in the sales process and also marketing process in the actual pre-call video as well, right? The moment you do this is then all the objections are going to go through window and you're gonna be closing way more deals, right? So it's actually gonna help you guys out a ton. So it's one thing I do. That's actually one thing I learned from Brian Choi, my man, who actually did a guest speaker at my Kavelaars retreat in Dubai, where we lived on the Palm for a week. We were neighbors with Carl Morgan. It was a pretty cool time. So he did a guest speaker there and learned a ton of stuff there.
The system. I mean, like once we get everything up and running, like the actual ads and everything, like you can start seeing. I mean, in terms of like some of our clients, obviously it is hit or miss. Like sometimes it takes a few days to warm up, but like we're seeing like 2 estimates yesterday in the first day of launching ads, which is quite insane. But yeah.
Okay, there's too much fidgeting going on and too much with the water bottle as well. Like, and also just the way he's dressed as well isn't as like, as convicting. I mean, it's okay, but you do want to dress similar to your audience, right? Similar to not your audience, but like your actual prospects, right? The way that he's dressed right now is pretty much the same, to be honest. But like, it would be ideal if Jordy was in kind of like a polo shirt kind of thing, right? You don't want to be below them. You either want to be above them or at the same level as them, right? As in terms of style, it's kind of like the mirroring aspect, right? So that's kind of one thing I would just slightly add. Lighting's okay, but I think you definitely just chill with the water bottle because that's so way too much.
2 estimates yesterday in the first day of launching ads, which is quite insane, but yeah.
I think also his conviction could definitely increase a lot more because he seems like kind of nervous still when he's saying that. So I would just have way more conviction, like saying like, okay, don't go too over the top of conviction, but you want to have it between casual conviction and like high conviction. So it's like, yeah, literally within the first 1 day of actually launching ads, we already got 2 estimates. So we could do the exact same thing for you. You might not get the 2 estimates the first day, but we could definitely do some very similar numbers there, right? And if we actually calculate that, let's just say we get 2 estimates and how much each estimate, 10K each. Okay, perfect. So we're looking at we're not estimates, but like those will convert to jobs later on. But let's just say both those estimates converted to jobs. Okay, we could just make you 20K in the first few days of actually launching this, right? Way more than happy to do that. Also, like I said, if we actually don't get those estimates, then we actually legally and contractually are obligated to actually refund you absolutely everything. So the moment you say that, the prospect is being like, okay, so if I don't make money, I don't have to pay anything, right? And that's exactly when they buy, okay?
Yeah, Chicago market is popping, so you would get work. I would get work.
Yeah, I mean, to even put it in perspective, like I can actually share my screen because I'm actually personally based in Vancouver in Canada. So one of my clients, I have one in Vancouver, I also have one in Victoria in BC, and like the population is quite small. So the population's like, it's probably a bit higher now, but just to put in perspective, it's probably around like 110, 120,000 people, and we're getting them so many estimates. So in terms of like Chicago, it could be quite insane.
Well, Chicago's 4 million.
Yeah, there you go. So,
and that doesn't include the suburbs.
Yeah, like it could be like absolute big opportunity. Yeah, that's insane. I mean, Chicago's quite large as well. Obviously, we'll kind of.
Okay, so kind of just talking about Chicago and stuff, but here's some more. Okay, here's very good. So this is actually very good. He talks a lot about the case studies here, which is really good to do before you actually get into pricing because it builds a lot of trust. So that's one thing he did very well on. I would kind of take out this logo here. It looks a bit dodgy, and also this as well. But that's just one thing I would say. I also don't want to spend too much of your time, guys, because it's definitely quite long video, but very good. Going to case studies.
So in terms of that, what we could do, and we'll get into the pricing in a moment because I know obviously that's a really key factor. We can definitely just move forward with it, set everything up, put it in the back burner, and then kind of just be ready. Like the second you're ready to take on jobs, they'll start coming in. How does that sound, I guess? Sure. Okay, so all right, cool. So yeah, in terms of like pricing, we do just kind of run a 3-month revenue program.
Okay, so one thing I absolutely always do before pricing, you guys have to understand about objections, right? This guy is gonna get objections, obviously, because Jordy's conviction was off. He was fidgety during the call. He didn't show enough case studies. Well, I don't really get into that in the video, but he just didn't have enough confidence, right? He was very fidgety, didn't have enough confidence in building enough rapport and all that stuff, and it's kind of a bit of an awkward conversation. So I guarantee this guy's gonna get objections. So what you need to do is actually prevent them in the first place, but also prevent it in the first place by actually asking them this question here. So this question is goated. So pretty much what you do is you say, okay, so this is right before you actually mention price, right? If they ask for price, you want to ask them this first. Okay, before we go into pricing, on a scale of, let's say, 1 out of 10, 1 meaning you really don't want to join this and it's not going to work for you, 10 meaning you're ready to take action, you're ready to join, we could get up and running this week, get you jobs this week kind of thing, right? And you want to get started now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what range, how are you actually feeling, right? On a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, I'm feeling like a 6 out of 10, right? Do not mention the price at all, because you are going to get, I need to think about it, let me talk to my wife, all that stuff, right? So what this does is it actually prevents you from wasting your time, right? But more importantly, I'm kind of joking, but it actually prevents you from getting this objection, right? Because the moment you get this objection and you think about it, it's hard to actually find the root cause of this, because I need to think about it isn't an actual thing. They don't need to think about it, right? People don't need time to think about stuff. They need information and actual knowledge and trust, right? And Jordy's the best source of information, so he needs to talk to Jordy. But you actually need to realize that there's smokescreen objections and there's actual objections, right? The smokescreen objection is I need to think about it. So he doesn't actually need to think about it. He's just not confident. He doesn't have enough confidence subconsciously with Jordy, or he doesn't actually understand something about the program itself, right? So when you say, okay, how can we actually bring that 6 to an 8 or that 6 to a 10? Now, what the guy's going to do is he's actually going to tell Jordy the exact reason why he's not confident in him. Therefore, he's going to get rid of the smokescreen objection and actually get to the root cause objection, which then Jordy could tackle, get rid of that, and then actually go to an 8 or 10, and then he actually closes, right? Because if you mention the price before you actually understood his real objection and you never actually asked that question and you actually got to the price, then you would have said, I think about it anyways, and it's worse to get there then compared to getting rid of the objection before the pricing, right? And then let's say that, okay, I'm at a 8 out of 10 now. Or let's just say, for example, right, they're at 6 out of 10. Okay, how could I do 8 out of 10? Oh, I don't know exactly how the system works. You show me again. I'm not really entirely sure the automation works or whatever it is. Okay, boom, let's get to the automation, right? Fix that. Now they're at 8 out of 10. You want to have more conviction, and then you also want to show even more case studies as well to go back on. Like, okay, yeah, this guy was in your exact same position. He was here when he started. He's in your position now, and now he's at their dream outcome, right? It's going to build a lot more trust. You need to increase the conviction up. We're going to get you so much results. I have so much confidence because we've done this with all of our other clients. And on top of this, if you don't get any results, in the worst case scenario, I'm literally legally and contractually to refund you absolutely everything. So the only case scenario where you lose money is if you don't join us, right? And then let's say 8 out of 10 now. Okay, boom, let's get a 10 out of 10. Once they're at like an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, then you can mention the price and then they'll join, right? If you pitch them when they're at a 6 out of 10, they're not going to fucking join you guys because they don't have enough confidence and they're going to throw you objections no matter what, right?
The way I run it is we just do it like a satisfaction guarantee. So if you're not making like a 3, 5, I don't know, whatever it is, X ROI.
Also, another thing, I think I mentioned this earlier, like Jordy said, oh, the way I run it, like that doesn't seem like, okay, when you guys are talking to your prospects, right, you need to be talking in a way which is matching their lingo. You can't say, oh, that's sick, or this is cooked, or, oh, this is the way I run it, right? They don't understand what you're talking about. They don't trust you at all when you use that. They're going to trust you way more when it says, okay, this is actually how we price our services, right? Or, oh, that's amazing. Or instead of saying that's cooked, saying like, that's awful, or whatever it is, right? If you mirror them and you mirror their lingo and you actually do market research and you understand all the contractors' lingo and the way they say certain things about certain types of jobs or whatever it is, and you actually use that in your sales calls, then you're going to build so much more trust as well, right? So that's also another big thing as well, is something I would 100% do.
And you're not really happy with it, which by the way, doesn't usually happen, but obviously it is all contractually obligated to just actually give you a full refund on our service fee. And the way we kind of price it is it's kind of $50 a day in terms of ad spend. So this goes directly to Facebook.
Okay, and also another thing you kind of mess up on is actually bringing up ad spend later on in the call. When you are talking about the actual ads part, you want to mention ad spend then, because when you do that, it's way more, like the prospects will be way more comfortable paying you when you've already mentioned the first part of pricing, right, at the beginning of the call or kind of midway through the call, compared to mentioning ad spend and also the actual pricing at the exact same time. It's going to be a bit more overwhelmed. But when you kind of, like, another thing is like when you ask someone for a favor, like a small favor first, they're more likely likely to do the second favor after you've already asked them for the first favor, right? The smaller one, compared to just going straight to the second favor, the bigger favor in the first place, right? For example, you ask someone for a piece of gum and then you ask someone for whatever it is, $5. Like they're going to be way more likely to do that compared to you just asking for $5 up front, right? So similar to this as well. You want to kind of slide in slowly the pricing and then they're comfortable with it, right? You want to make sure that they actually agree, right? Say, okay, let's just say that this was 20 minutes or like let's say 15 minutes in the call, right? And he was showing the ads manager, say, okay, by the way, this actually the first part of pricing, the second part of pricing I'm going to later on the call. But this part of the pricing is just $50 per day. And this goes directly to Facebook. We don't take or kind of directly gain out of any of this. This just makes sure that we are actually able to get you the acquisition of clients and get you up and running with the ads, right? So, and then say, okay, are you cool with that? Are you good with that? Or is $50 a day, does that sound good to you, right? You also never want to mention ad spend as a monthly figure because it seems way more digestible saying $30 a day compared to 1K a month or $33 a day compared to 1K a month kind of thing, right? So that's also one thing I would 100% add because it's way more digestible, right? So that's one thing I would definitely do, right? And then they've already agreed that they're okay with ad spend, so they can't really say that they're not okay with it later on in the call.
Don't touch it. It goes directly into the ads. Actually go ahead and run them. And then in terms of the actual 3-month program for our service fee, we do have the kind of monthly. So it's around $2,000 every single month and also 2% commission on every job we bring you. Or you can actually just go ahead and pay in full just for 5K. So you kind of just save yourself $1,000 and then also the 2% commission on every job we end up bringing you. I'd also like to just mention that with one of our clients, Bob, we went ahead with the kind of full 90 days thing, started seeing a bunch of jobs. He actually texted me like a week later of actually launching the ads. Just like, hey, I kind of want to make this longer than 90 days. Like, could we figure something out? So we ended up actually doing a whole thing where we just did like a much larger commission for after the 90 days and we started rolling with that as well. So in terms of long-term partnerships, there's definitely a lot of room to kind of move forward on that. But yeah, that's how we do that.
Okay, once again, like the water bottle thing is way too awkward. Like he's just using that as cope to deal with the silence of the potential awkward silence. So just like whenever you mention pricing, like just don't like drink your water or whatever. Like don't do it in like that way kind of thing, you know? So yeah.
Well, it's nothing I can approach right now, but I like your program.
I told you, right? It's not something I can approach right now, but I like your program, right? He's saying, oh, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to say it in a nice way and be respectful.
Sometime in the future, possibly.
Sometime in the future, right? So the reason why the prospect said this is literally just because Jordy was too fidgety, didn't have enough confidence, didn't show enough case studies, and he didn't build enough rapport. And also, there was just not enough trust. That's honestly the main thing, right? So that's, and he obviously didn't join.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Is that just
Let's kind of see how he handles it.
because why is that, like just because of the kind of job you're working on right now, or?
Well, I mean, I'm getting work.
Yeah. Like
without paying $2,000 a month.
He said he's getting work. Then you need to say, okay, then what was the actual reason or the kind of intention behind you joining the call in the first place? If you're already getting work, is be like, oh, right, I was trying to get more work. There's always a reason why they joined the call in the first place, right? What he's trying to do here is just being nice by just kind of rejecting Jordy in a kind of respectful way. But there's a reason why he joined the call. It wasn't to waste his time. It was to obviously get more work, right? So you need to kind of bring that up and say, okay, what was the reason to join the call? Obviously, do not say it in a disrespectful way or kind of rude way because it can actually come off as that way very, very easily. Then you just want to say, okay, well then what was the reason you actually joined the call? I'm pretty sure it's guessing for you to actually get more work, right? So that's way more better off than say, oh, like why do you join the call then if you don't have enough time to join calls or like enough time to get more work kind of thing, right?
But I could see a time coming that it may dry up.
Okay, yeah. I see. I mean, like in terms of like the jobs you're getting, like you'd mainly just saying like the referrals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Are you looking to take more jobs on than how many you're getting right now through the referrals? So
No, that's what I'm telling you. I really can't. I'm like 68 years old.
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's completely fine then. Yeah. So
You should really hit the Chicago market because you could make some money here.
I mean, like, okay, maybe he is actually full. It is kind of hard to tell just based off this guy, but I'll kind of mention this later on. But one thing I would say is actually trying to downsell him on a database reactivation protocol or a Google review campaign, right? This is going to be very, very crucial to actually just get your foot in the door and then eventually upsell them on your full entire package, right? Whether it be the 5K or the 2K monthly, right? With the commission. So in this case scenario, this guy could be a bit of a harder like nut to crack or like cookie to crack, whatever it is. But one thing that I would 100% do is actually just downsell him on the Google review campaign or the database reactivation protocal, right? Very, very easy way to get your foot in the door and then eventually upsell, which I mentioned.
With other remodelers, other, home improvement guys.
yeah, I mean for sure. I mean, is there even maybe any that you can maybe like send over their numbers or anything like that?
Yeah, let me put together a little small list for you and I could text it to the number that you've sent me this link on.
Actually, I can send you my personal number here.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'll just go ahead and type it into the Zoom chat here.
Okay, so at least it's good. He's getting some sort of outcome out of it, Jordy, because like, obviously you could have downsold them on them, but like also just to get referrals is very good because referrals are the best type of clients. Even though it's not like a referral from a client, even if it's a referral from outbound, like it's still definitely super solid work. However, I do honestly think that if Jordy had way more conviction, way more case studies, way more trust built in the actual discovery phase, then he obviously would have closed them. I think his also discovery phase was definitely way off. It was pretty awkward and there wasn't enough trust built. There wasn't enough questions asked. There wasn't enough follow-up questions asked as well. So I think just based off the discovery phase, the whole call got a bit cooked. So that's kind of what I would say. I'm sure they kind of ended off there, but yeah, that was definitely a solid video. Jordy actually came out to Dubai and actually met up with me there. It was a pretty good time. And after I hosted the Greece retreat, about I think 5 or 6 of the mentees all flew to Dubai together where I was all mentoring, and they lived in Dubai in a huge ass apartment. Jordy was actually also flew to live with them there. And then I met up with them. It was a pretty good time. And then we also hosted my other climb retreat in Dubai after the Greece one as well. And we were neighbors to Charlie Morning for a week. It was a pretty good time. But anyways, guys, the next one's actually in Cape Town. So this is very kind of just side thing with the climb retreats. But if you guys are actually like running an agency, if you're at 0 or all the way to 5 to 10K per month, and you obviously want to scale to 10K, 20K, 30K a month in record time, which I've done with all of my clients, as you guys can see, people who actually get results just put in the work and they scale rapidly. So pretty good case studies. If you guys want to check them out in the SMMAmentor.com, you guys check them out all over there. And yeah, recently took Kihua and Kenan from like 8K month to 47K month in about a month and a half, and Jay from 5K month, 25K month in 3 months. Fabricio from 0 to 10K week in 3.5 weeks, and a bunch of other card results go on for minutes. But anyways, guys, that's that. I'll see you guys in the next one. DM me on Instagram. You guys know where to find me, or book in a call below. And I'll see you guys in Cape Town. Some of you guys, we'll be doing the next climb retreat there. It's going to be a crazy time. I'm very excited for it. So yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, love you guys. And I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.